So let's jump into our green pastures. That's a Wall Street bell because, billions and billions of dollars are being made from cannabis, man. It's gotten out of hand. I mean, not gotten out of hand is a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating. But, man, it's crazy. Cats that don't even love cannabis. Cats that didn't even use cannabis, but they had a big pile of money somewhere invested in cannabis, and they are killing it. So the Green Pasture segment is normally where we deal with cannabis business, cannabis industry, cannabis tech, and aspects of cannabis legalization. But for this first episode, for our very first episode here on Relax It Just Cannabis, we figured we'd deal with a little bit of a brief history of cannabis and commerce, like I was talking about, and I was teasing earlier about some of the stuff that the United States government used to do back in the colonial days, and how hemp was so integral in the development of this country. Is crazy. But anyway, now the cannabis plant has been thought to go back as far as 12,000 BCE. Now, most scholars believe it originated in the region of Central and Southern Asia, with some of the earliest records of cannabis emanating from China and Japan. Cannabis was among the very first crops to be cultivated by the first agriculturalists. And ever since, mankind has maintained an intimate relationship with cannabis. As it spread throughout the world, cannabis has been touted and accepted as everything from a path and doorway to enlightenment, to a rugged textile, to a wondrous medicinal aid. Some believe that cannabis found its way to North America by way of the Vikings. Now, I knew I liked the Vikings. Some think that the Vikings brought cannabis to North America as early as 600 AD. If not by them, then definitely by the Spanish and Portuguese during the age of colonization back in the 1500s. Now, the earliest records of cannabis in trade and commerce begin with the domestication of the plant in Mongolia and Siberia as early as 2000 BC. By 500 BC, people in Asia were commonly using cannabis medicinally and recreationally. It traveled the Silk Road by way of the nomadic tribes of Central Asia, the herding tribes, the Aryans, and the Bronze Age Scythians, where it was introduced into India, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, and it also spread with the expanding Roman Empire, even into Britain by 400 AD. Cannabis was traded as a textile in the form of hemp, which are the strong fibers extracted from the cannabis plant stalk, used to make everything from paper to apparel, and most importantly, the sails that propelled the ships of the world powers at the time, as well as the rope and cordage to control those sails. The seeds, cannabis seeds, were traded as a highly nutritious food item. Cannabis was also traded as multiple use medicine and a psychoactive recreational drug. Here in America, cannabis was commonly used for all these things by the early 1600s in the very first successful British colony, Jamestown, who were obligated, did you hear me? Obligated under contract to the Virginia Company to grow hemp. By 1611, King James, yes, that King James, so the same year that King James translated the Bible, he mandated cannabis cultivation. I knew I liked King James because he all about the Lord. And he said, you know what, y'all need to grow more cannabis. So, he sound like my kind of dude. Probably not, but you know how that shit goes. Anyway, King James mandated the cultivation of hemp by all American colonies, all of them, to the point of forcing each colonial household to grow 100 plants each. So obviously, hemp was a vitally important commodity. So much so, farmers were allowed to pay off debt with hemp. In Massachusetts, hemp was accepted as payment for taxes. Now, ain't that deep? Goodness. Hemp was even used as currency in the developmental stages of the American monetary system because counterfeiting was rampant and hemp was always in demand and its quality was consistent. Ain't that crazy? So the same country that used hemp to become a world power, really, to as medicine for its population, accepted it as money. I mean, you paid your taxes with hemp. You know what I mean? And that same country turned around and said, you know what? Hemp is evil. Hemp is bad. If we catch you with it, we're going to put your ass in jail. Now, what kind of shit is that? Now, most of that was racially based. You know, most of that was because they hated the Mexicans and they hated black folk. And you know that's a fact. And they wanted some kind of way to lock our black asses up and the Mexicans up. So they say, you know what? And matter of fact, that's where marijuana comes from. Marijuana comes from, our Spanish brothers who, you know, that's what they called it. So, you know, Ricky Bobby and them decided, anyway, we done with these cats. We need to lock them up. And since they like to smoke weed and cannabis, and then we like to smoke it too, but they keep it more than we do. So let's lock their ass up. And that's just how it went. And it's a sad thing, but it's true. Oh, well.